I've been thinking for the past several weeks about whether or not I was going to share this just because of the length of the story. But I keep having enough things come against me to keep me from telling it, like last week having the snowstorm, and tonight getting a phone call from my daughter saying I needed to come pull my second tooth as I was sitting down to video, that it's pretty much confirmation I need to be telling you this. In Luke chapter 15, Jesus is out talking amongst the tax collectors and the sinners. And just in case you don't have this context, those are the people who the religious people look down upon. Well, the religious people were there too, Pharisees and the scribes, and they were saying, oh my goodness gracious, I can't believe that Jesus is out here with these people. What is he thinking? So Jesus responded to them with a few stories. The first one, he starts off with a question to his audience. Which one of you, if you have 100 sheep and you lose one, would not go after that one lost sheep to find it? And once you find it, wouldn't you put it on your shoulders, carry it home, rejoicing that you found your lost sheep? The next one is about a woman with 10 coins. She loses a coin. And if she lost that coin, she's going to spend all day and night lighting a lamp to make sure that she can find that lost coin because it's valuable to her. And when she finds it, she's going to tell all of her friends and family about how she found what was lost. Then he goes into a third story immediately after these first two. And this third story you may be familiar with. Most people call it the parable of the prodigal son. Basically, the premise is a very wealthy man had two sons. And the younger of the sons went to the father and said, I don't want to wait until you die until I get your inheritance. Give me what's mine now. Now, what this meant, though, for this wealthy man is he probably had to sell some things, whether it be livestock or land, crops, whatever it is. He would have had to have made a sacrifice to sell it in order to give his son half of his inheritance. So the son took the money and hit the road. He went out exploring and living life up, spending everything lavishly, and they used the word prodigal living. Prodigal just meant excessive, potentially wastefully extravagant. As soon as he was done spending all of his money, a famine hit the land, and he went and found somebody that he could work for so he could try and make some money to at least get some food. Well, he was hired to feed the pigs. So he goes out into the field and he starts feeding these pigs this slop. And as he's looking at it, he's just wishing that somebody would at least give him something as good as this slop. But then it says he came to his senses and he realized, my father has servants who have bread to eat, and here I am starving. Maybe I can crawl back to my dad and become a servant in his house. At least then I wouldn't be starving. So he makes up his mind. He's going to go talk to his father. He has this conversation in his head where he says, okay, here's what I'm going to say. Father, I have sinned against you and against heaven. Please make me one of your servants. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son, but please at least let me be a servant in your house. It says he heads home, and as soon as his father sees him from a long way off, he runs out of the house, wraps his arms around his pig-smelling son, starts hugging him and kissing him, it says, so thankful that his son is finally home. He tries to tell his dad the message that he's been working on in his head, and he just can't get it out because his dad is so excited to see him. His dad calls to one of his servants and says, kill the fatted calf. It's time to celebrate. My son who was lost is now found. Tell everybody we're having a party. Now, the older son had been out working in the field, but as he came in, he heard all of this party going on, and he called one of the servants and asked what's happened. The servant tells him, your brother who was lost is now found, and we've killed the fatted calf, and we're celebrating his return. But the older brother wasn't happy. He was mad about it. So mad that he wouldn't even go into the party. The dad had to come out and talk to the older son and said, why aren't you coming in? The older son said, Dad, I don't get it. I've been here slaving away this whole time, doing everything that you want, all the things that will make you proud, and I never got a party. Now this brother of mine who friggin' squandered everything, he left, didn't give us a second thought, and now all of a sudden he returns smelling like pig, and you want to throw a party for him? What the heck? Why didn't I get a party? He said to him, son, I'm always with you. You're always here. Anything of mine is yours. You could have had it anytime you wanted. It was right that we celebrate your brother's return because he's come home. What was dead is now alive again. What was lost has now been found. I read a book by Timothy Keller about this exact thing, and it's called The Prodigal God. And that's where this whole concept really started working on me years ago whenever I first read it, because Jesus is talking to these Pharisees, these religious people. And I'd never really heard anybody actually talk about the other two parables that preceded the parable of the prodigal son. In the first two stories, something is lost and somebody had to go retrieve it. In the third story, nobody went to retrieve it. The son, the younger son, was lost. Nobody went to retrieve him. But the implication there that Jesus is giving to his audience is that the responsibility to go find the younger brother should have fallen on the older brother who knows, the older brother who stays by the father. That's the one who claims to be this perfect son should have gone after what his father treasured more than all of the riches and all of the possessions. He treasured his children. These Pharisees would have been the older brother in this story. They're the ones who are so upset that Jesus would allow these sinners to come in and sit down and be near him. But they should have not just allowed them in, they should have been the ones who went after them. Now, I share this story because I've not had the easiest life. I've definitely not had the hardest life either, but there were a lot of challenges along the way. And I've had people who were with me at different stages of life, and then I either moved or they moved or something happened, and we just lost touch. Most of the time, this happened whenever I was a child. And I just assumed that the people who left my life forgot about me, that I didn't matter to them, that I was not even on their radar because I wasn't in their proximity. And so why would they think about me? I would think about them sometimes, but I never thought that it would be reciprocated. And a lot of times as a child, you're not going to reach out. What am I going to do? I just assumed that I don't matter to them. Now, I never faulted any of these people for not reaching out to me. If they weren't thinking about me, why in the world would I think that they would reach out? The thing that's happened to me recently that really just kind of got under my skin, not so much because I was angry at them, but just because I was angry at this approach, this thinking. I've had people tell me that they've thought about me over the years. They really have thought about me. They've prayed about me. They've been concerned for how I'm doing, but I never heard from them. I'm talking decades, nothing. Like I said, I'm not mad at them. I really am not. This is not a rant to try and make somebody feel bad or to complain about how rough it was for me. No. My intent is to try and encourage you. If there is anybody who has been part of your life, they've played a significant part in your life, or you've really cared about them and you've lost touch. Maybe it's only a short time. Maybe it's a long time. Maybe it's years, decades, who knows? But if you start thinking about them, please reach out to them. Do something, whether it be call them, text them, reach out to them on social media. Do something to let them know that you're thinking about them, that you care about them. Ask them how they're doing. That will actually do something. Waiting for them to reach out to you or waiting for an opportune moment whenever you happen to run into each other, it does not have the same impact as contacting them when you think about them. In that story of the prodigal son, the older brother did not go after the younger brother, but that's not the message that Jesus delivered to us with his life. He left the Father and he came after us. If you're watching this and maybe you've dismissed Jesus through all these years, but for some reason, something I said hit a little bit differently, and maybe you identified with that younger brother who went out and tried to live life the way he wanted to and had nothing to show for it in the end. Just the way that Jesus described the celebration that happened when the sheep was found, when the coin was found, when the lost brother was found. There is always rejoicing whenever someone who is lost is found. If you don't know Jesus and you want to invite him into your life, just say this prayer with me. God, I need you. I've failed my family. I failed my friends, I failed myself, and I failed you. I can't save myself. I can't even change myself. But I believe that you can. I've sinned and I need a Savior. And I believe that you sent Jesus to die for me. So today I invite him into my heart, and I confess that he is now the Lord of my life. God, thank you for new life. Now you have mine. In Jesus' name. Well, if you just said that prayer, I would love to hear from you. If you would be bold enough to put something down in the comments section. I know that there are so many people who would celebrate with you, just like Jesus talked about those people celebrating whenever what was lost has been found. I promise you there is celebration happening if you have been lost and you are now found. And I would love to hear about it. If you don't want to put something down in the comment section, please at least do me a favor and direct message me. I really, really would love to hear about it and celebrate with you. Thank you again so much for joining me. I really do appreciate having you with me. If you like the content, give me a thumbs up, put something down in the comments section, share it on social media, and I will see you next time when we can share a cigar and change the world.